Alright, so in this one we're going to talk about the Warlord. This is the Warlord, and this is his character card. So his character card talks about how he can have his friendly creatures when they become veterans, and they do this by making a melee attack and destroying that enemy creature. They gain 1 melee and +1 melee and +1 armor, which is pretty powerful. And he focuses on Earth School and War School, so both those only cost one the equivalent level. However, arcane spells are very expensive for him. They cost triple. So, in addition, you notice that just like the Beastmaster, he has a +1 to melee. He also has a 3 dice attack, which is standard. And then he has battle orders. Battle orders are something you can give per turn, and you can give one unit +1 charge, +1 range, or +1 melee and armor while guarding. So that's pretty powerful. And I'm about to show you the cards for the Warlord. The Warlord's cards are pretty amazing. And there's one card that's going to impact these battle orders, so I'll get into that just here in a moment. Okay, so first there's the Helm of Command. So this is a way that you can spellbind a level... Well, actually it's a non-epic command incantation, so it's any level to the Helm of Command. So anything like your Battle Fury, or your Unavoidable Attack, or your Piercing Strike can go onto this. There's probably some more that are much more powerful and higher level that I can't think of at the moment, but that's what this is used for. And you can change the bind spell using 1 mana, so that's pretty neat. Okay, next we got Horn of Gothos. Okay, we'll call it Gothos. So this is unique to the Warlord. It requires you to pay 3 mana, and then you can take that battle command that you cast, the battle orders that you cast, and you can cast it over the entire arena. So you can give your entire army a +1 to charge, which is pretty ridiculous. It only affects soldiers, of course, but still, that's pretty incredible. Next is the Ring of Command. And with the Ring of Command, you pay 1 less mana when casting and revealing command spells. And, as always, you should take a look at the art on this one. It looks like there's a hand holding a whip, which is pretty awesome. Next we have, he also has a Stormdrake hide set of armor. Pretty handy. Okay, War Sledge. So this is the first, well, it's not the first, but it's one of the only pieces of equipment that have sweeping on it. The only other one is the Forcemaster's weapon. So you can have a 4 dice sweeping attack with a 50% chance to daze, which is only 8 mana to bring it onto your mage. However, you will note that it takes both hands, so that's kind of a big minus, but it's a nice piece of equipment. Okay, here we have I'll just call it the trebuchet, the hammer, and it is a conjuration, anti-conjuration conjuration. So it does an 8 dice attack against conjurations that are corporal. So things like Mana Siphon, I guess this won't be able to hit. However, you have to hit something that's 2 or 3 zones away. So that kind of limits its use somewhat. But it can also attack army units, creatures, and it does that with a area attack, 3 dice unavoidable area attack. One thing I've noticed on this card that is a bit tricky is I don't see that it has indirect fire. So if you have a wall up or somebody puts a wall up, this hammer would not be able to fire over it. So I don't know if they're going to have to rule on that, make an exception, but it looks like that's missing from the rules. In addition, you note that it can only fire every, let's see, each upkeep phase place 1 token on it. If it has to a maximum of 2. When you fire it, you remove the 2 tokens. So every 2 turns, this sucker can fire. So this is the equivalent of the lair for the Warlord. The barracks is pretty handy in that it has a synergy with your outposts, which are actually pretty cheap. We'll talk about those here in a moment. So you can pump out, you get up to 3 mana per turn on this sucker, depending on the number of outposts you have. And so you can bring out tons of trash troops, which would be goblins in this army. And notice that you can only summon soldiers. Okay. Watchtower. So this is one of the actual outposts. This basically just gives a range bonus and indirect trait to attacks in this square made by soldiers. Here we have Garrison Post. So this is like the spawn point card that some have seen a spoiler for, except it's for soldiers. And so you're able to deploy soldiers through this, which is pretty neat. So, and you don't even need line of sight. Caltrops, these will be pretty handy to slow down the enemy. Creatures get hindered, so they're only moving 1 movement per turn when they come into this zone. Obviously it doesn't affect flying, and it also does some damage. Here's one of my favorites, Quicksand. I'm not going to read all the rules here, but basically creature gets attached to this, and then they continue to sink turn after turn, and it gets more difficult. Warlord also has the Wall of Pikes, handy card for sure. We talked about that one already with the Forcemaster. This dwarf is pretty ridiculous. So before this expansion, sweeping was only something that I believe the Lord of Fire could do. So this is a 4 dice sweeping attack. Doesn't have any flames or anything like that, but that's still really powerful, especially if you're going against a squishy creature build. Here's a fun one, Goblin Bomber. Risky but fun. If you detonate this guy, he does a 4 dice area attack. Also can create slams, unavoidable. Otherwise he's just punching things at 2 dice, which is unlikely to do much of anything. But definitely a fun card and lovely art. Next we have the Goblin Builder. So to help you get all those structures up, this guy will help. He doesn't channel any mana, but that's okay. He's pretty cheap. Goblin Grunt. So this guy is your trash troop. Very cheap, cheaper than a fox. And less health than a fox, I should note. Goblin Slingers. In the games that I've played so far, these guys are really annoying to my flyers. They just are super cheap. They are squishy, but you know, you got to, if they have several of them out and all you got is flyers and yourself, it's a bit tricky to take them all out. So here it is. Okay, this guy's really fun. I haven't been able to play himself, and in the games I've played, he hasn't gotten a shot off because he came in so late. But this is a 6 dice attack at range 1, and then reduces the further the shot goes. This will be tons of fun to play. Iron Golem. So for those of you who have been wanting to do the undead army, or sorry, non-living army, this guy's going to be a lot of fun. So he is slow, sadly, but he's unmovable. He's burn proof and psychic immune, so he's a good counter to the Forcemaster. Okay, this guy gets a taunt ability that we referenced earlier, and his taunt ability is pretty powerful in that you can draw things in from range. He gets a 5 dice attack, and when somebody's in an adjacent zone, you can coax them in to come and attack you, compel you to come and attack him. And with that armor and that health, you're likely to do nothing to him, and he's going to get 5 dice against you. Okay. This guy's one of my favorites. He has a 4 dice attack, full attack, that's either a double strike or a sweeping. And if you take a look at that dodge, it's pretty sick. 6+, and he gets it 2 times. It's very powerful. Falcon Precision. So, situationally unavoidable attack might be used. However, this Falcon Precision, for just 1 extra mana, makes the creature get all of its melee attack unavoidable. So I think not Piercing Strike, but Perfect Strike is likely to go away. We'll see. Fortified Position, so this is kind of like the Sacred Ground card, except you get armor instead. Next we have the Mind Shield. So this is pretty neat. Protects you against those psychic attacks that are gonna be targeted at your favorite troops, and yeah. Note that just like block, it's a one-time use, so somebody could potentially try to charm you and then mind control you, but that'd be super expensive. And that's a really cheap card, 2 mana just to have that happen. Standard Bearer, this is fun. So you can make one of your soldiers the equivalent of Red Claw and buff up your soldiers. Note that that is a cantrip as well. Some dispelled cards, some dissolves. Earthquake, this one's a ton of fun. It attacks multiple zones, which is very unique. Basically, it gets 4 dice attack against things like walls and conjurations. However, it also has a 5+ chance to slam all creatures in the zone. So that'd be great to just take an army out of commission for a turn. Minor Heal and Group Heal. Some power strikes like we talked about before. It's basically bear strength 1 turn though. This one looks really good. Sniper Shot. Get an unavoidable +1 piercing ranged attack. So that's pretty awesome, especially given that you could throw it on a creature that like the Slinger, who only rolls 3 damage, but 3 dice, but with a piercing thrown in on that, you'd be guaranteeing at least 1 point, and then the other dice would do the rest job. Actually, you know, you'd probably want to use it on something like well, it's not clear, but you might be able to do it on something like a fireball. I'll have to think about that more. Anyways, Whirling Strike. This is pretty neat. So, sweeping is incredible, but this is even better. Whirling Strike, it's 9 mana, but you get to attack 3 different targets. Hail of Stones we'd already talked about. And then this one is really funny. We got a hurl a boulder, and it says a 7 dice attack, 8+ chance to slam. So that's almost a 1-to-1 in terms of damage you're going to be doing. Now there's no burn, but slam will take that creature out of commission for a turn pretty much. And then lastly, we have some cards that I haven't gone over yet that are not in either deck.